Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 8. We are almost done with the fragments. Kind of. We're really close. Like, I will say that we are getting really close. The 4th year of Yashiro-sama's curse has come and gone, just like that. There wasn't too much to cover, but we can definitely for surezies say that, yeah, it was Satoshi that killed his aunt. I mean, with what we found out, with what we saw in Chapter 5, with what we found out in Chapter 7, I mean, it just makes the most sense, and this just confirmed it, which is fine. That's totally fine. What I'm curious about is what the hell happened to Satoshi. It didn't look like he was in any really good condition, but it was Irie himself who came across Satoshi in his terminal state. So, what happened to him then? Hopefully we can find out in one of these fragments, but if not, it's whatever. I am a little disappointed, or I would be a little disappointed, but, you know, we gotta continue along. It is what it is. So I think we can do a preview of lots for sale. I don't know what to do, me neither. My name is Ichiro Maebara, and I am hopelessly lost. My name is Michael SK, and I am also lost. I came to Hinamizawa on a tour to find a lot for a vacation home. When the realtor finished explaining some details, he told us to take a walk until the departure time. Such beautiful scenery and fresh air. I let my senses guide me, and here I am. Where am I? I still have a little time before the departure, but I am completely lost. This is basically the middle of nowhere, but people actually do live here. If I keep walking, I should run into somebody, then I can ask for directions. Don't worry. Ha ha ha. The only thing I need to keep in mind is the departure time for the bullet train. But the more time passes, the more I start to think I was being too optimistic about running into somebody. Because I can't find anybody at all. Maybe I'm walking further and further away from where people are. In which case, I'm in serious trouble. So upon hearing someone's voice, I feel immensely relieved. Oh, excuse me, it sounds like little girls are playing nearby. Okay, this is gonna be an important scene, I feel. Maybe. If it's a place where little kids can play, it must be a safe village. I followed those voices. Upon rounding the wild pampas grass, I can see a beautiful field. 2 girls are playing there. They're dancing in the field filled with blooming wildflowers. What I'm seeing is more beautiful than all of the great works of art I've ever seen put together. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but this looks holier than any religious painting. Why is it that seeing innocent girls dance around like this makes people feel this way? It's probably because we're sinners. You can't live with pleasure and glory alone. We sin even as we live. That's why we feel awed by the sight of innocence. It reminds us of the time when we were pure. We grow up naturally and we lose innocence as we do, and we admire and adore the children who symbolize that which we've lost.
とかなんとか小難しいことを言いながら変な不審者が僕たちをじっと見ていますのです。はあ、リカ、あれは不審者ではありませんのです。
Huh? Sorry. I'm not suspicious.
とか言いながら僕の美しさから目が離せないのです。
Uh-oh.
ニパー。
No, I'm not. Don't turn me in, I really wasn't staring. I was using this mirror to fix my hair.
何言ってるかわかんないのですが、とっても面白いことを言っている気がしますのです。なんというか、血は争えないという気がしますです。
The girls teased me for a while, and when they got tired of doing that, they went back to dancing around. Realizing that whatever I said would backfire, I decided to leave them alone and sat down to watch them play. I wonder how old they are. They seem rather young, but maybe they could be close to Keiichi's age. If we move here, Keiichi might meet them at school. If he would see them at school, then... well, they were girls that lived here. If all the children in Hinamizawa are like them, then even if living a rural life may have some challenges, there's a good reason for us to move here. We're not very good parents. We didn't understand what Keiichi was going through and left him alone until the very end. According to the parenting book I bought, the first few problems are calls for help. It doesn't matter what the action itself is, but the fact that those actions are occurring in a primitive appeal from the children seeking communication, humans can speak. And that's one of the reasons why we don't notice such signs. We can only hear words through our ears, and we can't sense the signs coming from our son's heart. Keiichi probably thinks it's all his fault. Of course, he's not absent of blame. Humans aren't dogs or cats. We should know what's right and what's wrong. But it's our fault too as his parents. To let him think that he had to go that far for us to be able to understand him is really pathetic and disappointing of us. If we had understood him and hadn't cornered him, Keiichi wouldn't have done that. So the incidents weren't only Keiichi's fault. Everyone in the Maebara family was to blame. I want to explain that to him, but he's still too young and hot-headed to be able to understand. Right now, the guilt he's feeling is basically crushing him under its weight. He doesn't even have the will to live. My wife is the same. She's blaming herself for forcing him to study for better grades. She thinks that's why the incidents took place. Excuse me, and I'm no different. I'm blaming myself for not being involved in my son's education. I think that's why the incidents took place. The cross will be forever on our shoulders, even after the injured child accepts our apologies. Yet our cold society would tell us to die under the weight of that cross. Even so, we have to live. We have to accept our sins and carry our burdens on our shoulders. Maybe we can start a new life here in this village. I thought about all that as I watched the girls dance. Keiichi needs friends like them. Friends like those girls will offer him so much more than the friends who only talked about cram schools and exam results. The girls are playing near a sign that doesn't fit in this open field. It's a sign about lots for sale, and the name of the realtor who brought me here for the tour is written on it. Does that mean we can live even in this beautiful area if we wanted to? One of the girls spoke as if reading my mind.
ここはいい村なのですよ。きっと都会にはなかったものがあるのです。
Yeah, that's right. I think so too.
でも、この村にないものをきっと都会のあなたが持ってきてくれる気がするのです。
Do we have anything?
ありますのですよ。ああ。僕たちはこの村で何百年間もこうしています。そこには誰も訪れず、何も起こりませんです。だから何も起きないし、何も変えられない。
Isn't that what's good about this place?
何かを変わりたいと思うから、この村に来たのじゃないのですか？
Yeah, you're right about that.
僕たちも新しい人を迎えたい。それは例えるなら水の流れ出ぬ沼の堰を破るようなもの。水は出入りがあるからこそ清水となる。確かにこの村は明治のついこの間まで沼の名前がついた村でしたのです。でもそれが変わり、ひなみ沢という地名に変わりましたのです。沼の水は流れずよどむ。でも沢の水はよどまない。
それにね、あなたたちが教えてくれるのよ。堰は破れるものだ。破るものだってね。
Are they playing riddles with me? I have no idea what they're trying to say. But there's one thing I know. The villagers are waiting for new people to come here, and they want to build a future with those newcomers. I looked at the sign behind the girls one more time, so that I'd remember this place. I've already decided.
引っ越してくるのを待っていますですよ、前原。
ああ、いたいた。お客さん、こんな遠くまで行っちゃダメですよ。
A raspy voice from the distance ended this innocent moment. It's the realtor. I guess he's been looking for me because I didn't return. Sorry about that. I got lost. I apologized while scratching my head. I turned around to look at the girls, but they weren't there anymore. Of course they weren't. So, he was able to see Hanyuu and have a perfectly normal conversation with her. That is interesting, but I think I called that one out. I think I predicted that it was Hanyuu and Rika that he had mentioned. Also, another thing. Was that the first fucking time that we've actually heard Keiichi's father's name? Have we ever heard that before? I can't remember if, like, a name wasn't ever stated along with a sprite. I know we're never going to get a sprite, but I mean, at least we have a name, I guess. I guess now we can do Keiichi Maebara, but we also have, like, all of these other ones here. I just, I don't know if we can do them, honestly. But we've done page 1, 2, and that's it. We're about to do page 5. Let's go for it. Come on, keep going.
これが学校なのかよ。すげえな。さすが田舎だな。
Yeah, but, you know, it's, I don't know. I guess Persona 4 Sticks is better than this. Like, by a landslide, but... Yeah, you know what? Fuck it, you can call this the Sticks. Keiichi, don't say stuff like that. The people in this area love coming here. That was my first impression of the Hinamizawa branch school. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like a school at all. It even has a sign that says Hinamizawa Forestry Service.
まあ確かに我が校は営林署さんの敷地をお借りしておりますからの
Said the man they call the principal as he laughed heartily.
学び屋は違っても学校であることは同じです。前原くんがこれまで通われていた学校とはいろいろルールが違うと思いますが、大丈夫ですか？
That's not Chie's voice. Did they get a different voice actor for her?
はい。
I heard all the grades are put in the same classroom in this school. I didn't believe it, but I think it really is true. They're all younger than I am, so I guess it'll be like kindergarten. Though it'll be interesting compared to my previous school where everyone looked the same age.
前原くんが転校してきたら、男子の中では最年長になると思います。ですので、自分の勉強だけでなく、下級生たちの模範になるよう示さなければなりません。
Okay, yeah, that sounds really different from the Chie that we've heard for like 7 fucking chapters. That's a little disappointing. I don't know, like, if you're going to change the voice actor, well, I guess usually you don't have a choice, do you? I would say at this point it was due to unforeseen circumstances, or maybe the other voice actor was busy. Or am I just hearing it wrong? Is it actually the same voice actor? I wonder.
下級生は上級生の悪い癖をすぐに真似します。先生もそこは厳しく注意していますから、前原くんも下級生に悪い影響を与えないよう常に襟を正していてくださいね。
わかりました。努力します。
Keiichi. What she means is that textbooks aren't the only things you learn from. As a member of the class, and also as an older student, you have to be a good example. I know that already. After that, Chie-sensei brought us to an empty classroom and showed me where my desk would be. Since we're all still growing, I'm sure our sizes are very different. There are some desks that are way too small for me to even put my legs under, and also some that are just perfect for me. There are approximately 30 desks in here, but since all the different grades are in the same room, I'm sure it's very lively. There's also a wall full of calligraphy and art from different grades. It's all pretty exciting, nothing like my previous school. It reminds me of the days when I truly enjoyed my school life.
父さん、俺気に入ったよ。やっぱり町の学校よりこっちの学校の方がいいや。
I think my son likes it here. I want him to go to this school too.
そうですか。沖宮の学校の方が設備もちゃんとしていますし、立派な先生方もたくさんおられますのに。
Even while saying that, Ch.8 sensei looked happy to hear that a new student would be transferring into her class. My father and the teachers went back to the teacher's office to get the transfer process going. In the meantime, I decided to stay in the classroom and look around. I didn't care about the move. I'd lost the will to live because of what I did. I didn't have any willpower and I couldn't even get out of bed. So when my parents told me about the move, I thought that wouldn't change anything. But after the move, something did change. I want to restart my life. I want to restart my life and become someone I've always wanted to be. Here in Hinamizawa and at this school, I can do that. I'm not going to go back to who I was. I'll never again think that good grades are the most important thing in this world. I have a feeling that I can learn the things that are really important in life here at this school. And I never had the chance to learn them before now. It's almost embarrassing to put into words, but they're extremely valuable things. And if you don't learn them, you won't become a decent adult. Excuse me. The students at this school learned them a long time ago. To them, they're a given. Yet I have to spend time learning about them even at this age. How to make friends. How to play with friends. To play. Things you can only learn from play. Things like socializing with others, etc. etc. It seems so easy, but it'll take me a while to learn them. I pushed those things aside and devoted myself to studying. I'm not trying to say that studying isn't important, but you shouldn't become blinded by it. If someone says studying and good grades are the most important things in life, he's talking bullshit. So I can restart my life here at this school. Finally, I can become someone I've always wanted to be. I noticed two girls looking in at me through the window. The schoolyard must also be a playground for these children because I saw a lot of them playing there earlier. I guess those two noticed me walking around the classroom and became curious. I guess that's natural. I'm a stranger to them. Should I say hello and let them know that I'm starting school next Monday?
ようやく引っ越してきたのです。僕は待ち疲れたのですよ。はあ。
Wait a minute.
でも、これでまた変わってくるのです。だって、圭一はサイコロの6なのですから。6ではありますですが、圭一の振るサイコロは1がよく出上がりますです。はあ。圭一が悪いわけではありませんのです。全部羽生が悪いのです。お前のせいなのです。圭一に謝れなのです。
俺の名前を知ってるのか？
Holy shit. Wow. So he can actually see both of them. She said my name, didn't she? Did I hear her wrong? I've never met her before.
ニパー、転校生なのですか？
ああ、よろしくな。前原圭一ってんだ。今度の月曜から来ることになると思うぜ。仲良くしてくれよな。は
あ、仲良くしましょうなのです。圭一に古出神社の巫女さんがありがたいお告げなのです。転校初日は教室の扉が鬼門なので、入るときは注意なのです。あと、椅子の背中に画鋲、机の中にはカエルのおもちゃまで入ってます。でも何度警告しても圭一は何度でも引っかかるのです。月曜日はかわいそうなのです。
だから面白いのだけれど、たまにはそんな運命も打ち破ってみて。あなたがそれを教えてくれるのよ。あまたの世界の一つでね。
は？
I'll be reminded of the prophecy made by the two girls next Monday because the actions of a snaggle-toothed girl. I'll realize it too late though. But I like it here. My name is Ch.8 Maebara. This is my new beginning, and this time I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. I've been missing out on so much, but I'm going to learn all of those things here. I'm going to absorb all of it, and I'll become someone I've always wanted to become. It may take a very long time, but I'll definitely do it. Okay, so, hold on. Even Keiichi can fucking see Hanyuu and actually, talk to her? She was there, and in these last two fragments, she hasn't been transparent or anything like that. She's physically there. What's going on? What is going on? Alright, so I don't think we have the Revenge of Mio... Actually, yeah, we do. We do. I think we can actually do June 1983, because the Revenge of Mio Takano was given to us beforehand, right? Before we even, started the fragments? And I don't know about the raw sea urchin. That doesn't sound familiar. Okay, we don't have a game board that's set up. We absolutely do not. So we can't do any of this stuff here. So let's just see if we can actually initiate any of these fragments here. I don't think we can do the death of Koizumi-sensei, but let's see if we can do the completion, or deja vu. I don't think we've gotten the death of Koizumi-sensei. We can't do disappointment. I don't know if we've gotten the C-117 medication to do deja vu, but let's see. We have not. Okay, it was worth a shot. I'm going to do the very thing that I really didn't want to do, and that's actually just clicking all of these because I actually don't know what we've gotten so far. I guess we can do this one. Fucking perfect. See, I never even remembered Toмотake having a slight fever. Takano-san always comes along with me whenever I go take pictures on a stroll. She might have discovered the joy of cameras, and I'm happy to gain a friend who shares the same hobby. However, there's actually something else she's much more interested in, and that would be the history of Hinamizawa. She frequently visited libraries and local archives to read through various documents and books, and when it comes to Hinamizawa, she's gained quite extensive knowledge on the local history. When she's in a good mood, she tells me about things like how Hinamizawa used to be called Onigafuji Village, and how the villagers there used to perform various cruel ceremonies based around the worship of Oyashiro-sama. It seemed she loved tales of violence. Excuse me, and that actually gave her a mysterious charm. I don't think charm's the word to use there, but on the other hand, I don't do well with grotesque things, so I can hardly say anything in response. The stories of cruel ceremonies that she gets excited about, I don't really get them all that well. However, with the way her eyes light up when she talks, I don't mind spending time with her even if I have to hear about cruel things.
高野さんはそういうのを調べるのが好きだね。
あら、だって楽しいわよ。封印された過去の暗黒史を紐解くなんて、とてもワクワクすることだとは思わない？
Sorry about the crackling, my water bottle is very noisy. Takano-san smiled in a way that almost made it sound like a dark past is something fun. But of course it isn't. The dark history of Hinamizawa that she loves is something cruel and atrocious, like the witch hunts in the Middle Ages.
それに、Hinamizawa症候群を調べる上でも、とても役立つことなのよ。
I mean, yeah, I can kind of understand that. I mean, it makes sense.
何も顕微鏡を除くことだけが調べることになるとは限らない。この寄生虫と長い時間を過ごしてきたこの村の伝承の方がよっぽど重要な何かを教えてくれることもあるんだから。
それもそうだね。うん。高野さんは本当に研究熱心だよな。
だって研究こそ私のライフワークだもの。未知の神秘に踏み込み、誰も知らなかった秘密を暴くことってとっても楽しいことだとは思わない？それは多分考えることに悦を感じることができる人間だけに許された最高の娯楽だと思うの。この研究の第一人者だった高野先生もHinamizawa症候群の研究に生涯を捧げるだけの何かを見出し、その魅力に取りつかれていたに違いないでしょうね。多分私だけがそんな高野先生の気持ちを理解してると思うの。研究者でない二郎さんには難しいかしら。
She always seems so enthusiastic every time she talks about the late Dr. Takano. an independent researcher who was the first person to discover the existence of the syndrome. There has to be something more there than her admiration as a researcher. Come to think of it, Dr. Takano's full name was Hifumi Takano. Takano-san's full name is Mio Takano. Not only are their last names pronounced the same, but their first names follow a similar pattern. They must be connected somehow. I don't know anything about Takano-san's personal history, but there's a good chance that her name is an alias. So it's very possible she chose a name to reflect the researcher she admires.
なるほど。ひょっとして高野さんはだからミオという名前なのかい？いや、高野さんが尊敬しているその先生の名前が確か高野ひふみ。そして高野さんの名前がミオ。123の後を引き継いで34。彼が成し遂げられなかった研究を引き継いだからそういう名前なのかなって思ってね。
それを誰かに聞いたの？
He really just fucking deduced that shit, didn't he?
いや今僕が適当に考えただけなんだよ。別に誰かが言ってたわけじゃ。
正解よ。鈍い二郎さんにしてはよくわかったわね。
いや、高野さんがその高野先生をとても尊敬しているのは知ってたし、まるで自分が実の娘か孫で研究の正当な後継者だというような感じで言っていることがあったからね。なんとなくそんな気がしただけなんだよ。作家のペンネームだってほら、尊敬する作家のオマージュで名前をつけることもあるし。なら高野美代って名前もペンネームみたいなものなのかなって思って。
そんなことはないわよ。高野美代は本名よ。もっとも高野の高は鳥の高じゃなくて高い低いの高が正しいけれど。
え？じゃあ高野先生とは本当は同じ名字なのかい？それはますますびっくりだね。しかも美代が本名とは。高野ひふみの研究を高野美代が継ぐ。
二郎さんたら運命的だなんて大げさな。別に運命でも何でもないのよ。
え？
This is news to me. I heard Takano-san discovered documents about the Hinamizawa syndrome left by Dr. Takano after his death, and decided to continue his research. I've never heard of them being related before.
祖父の研究を引き継ぐために予算をというと、まるで身内びいきのために予算を引っ張ろうとしているように見えて印象が良くないというふうに助言をしてくれる人がいたので、高の一文字を変えたからなの。だから人前で高野先生が私の祖父だと話したのは、小泉のおじいちゃんを除いたら二郎さんを含めて他にいるかどうかという話よ。
そうだったのかい。はあ、なるほどね。君がひなみ沢症候群の研究に入江所長も驚くほどの情熱を見せる理由がちょっとだけ分かったよ。
I understand very clearly now. She really did inherit the work her grandfather was unable to complete.
祖父も医学的見地からだけでなく、古文書などの文献からもひなみ沢症候群を探っていたの。ひなみ沢症候群と何百年にもわたって共にあった村の文献を調べることは、何百倍もの倍率を持つ顕微鏡を除くより価値があり得るというのは、祖父が私に教えてくれたことなの。
なるほどね。だとしたら自分の完成できなかった研究をこれだけ立派に引き継いでくれたおじいさんはきっと喜んでいるだろうね。こんなに熱心な孫に引き継げてとても嬉しいはずさ。
そうだといいわね。
I said something Takano-san would normally tease me about, but she didn't. She nodded and smiled. There's no mistake. She is indeed the granddaughter of Dr. Takano.
祖父がひふみで123、私はみよで34、私は祖父を継ぎ、ようやく3を共に数えたに過ぎない。そして祖父の次の4を数え、
それでミヨという名前なんだね。 素敵な名前だと思うよ。
ありがとう。私が孫だという話は内緒にしてほしいの。クライアントの人たちにも言っていないから。
うん、わかったよ。これは僕と高野さんの秘密ということで。
Although it's only a small secret, it feels good to think that I'm the only one who knows about it.
私はようやく3を数えただけ。まだ4にすら至っていない。研究の道のりはまだまだ険しく長いけれど、私は最後までやり抜くわ。
僕もそれを応援するよ。もともとそれが僕の役割だしね。
もうそういう余計なことを言わなければ十分かっこいいのに。一言応援するって言ってくれればいいのよ。
するよ。君を応援する。
二度言い直してもダメね。一回で言えなくちゃかっこよくはならないわね。
We laughed cheerfully together, and after we finished laughing, she became serious again and spoke as if to drive the point home.
だから二郎さん、くれぐれも私が孫だって言わないようにね。
言わないよ。約束する。
孫だからいけないということはないけれど、クライアントがそれを知って不快に思ったら予算を切られるようなことがあるかもしれない。
そんなことはないと思うよ。第一、僕は喋らないしね。
絶対よ。本当の本当に絶対よ。
Hey, you want to back up there?
私はこの研究のために命をもらったの。祖父の研究を完成させることだけが私の使命。踏みにじられた研究が世界を驚かす偉大なものであったことを証明し、土の下で朽ちる祖父をたたえさせ、神に昇華させること。それだけが私の生きる理由であり目的なの。もしそれを邪魔するような不用意な言葉をあなたがうっかり漏らして研究に支障が出たならば。
大丈夫だよ。ここで聞いた話は忘れるよ。本当さ。いや、絶対に口外しない。僕は約束は守るよ。絶対に言わない。
絶対よ、次郎さん。
I sensed something frightening within her for a moment. Afraid that she would end up possessed by it, I swore to keep the promise. Her intellectual curiosity as a researcher and her conviction to complete her grandfather's work are what stirs her passion for researching Hinamizawa syndrome. I think there's one more reason, but it's far too deep and it's within a wound in her heart that someone like me should never touch. But earlier, she said, if you create problems for my research, I wonder what she wanted to say after that. I can't help thinking she wanted to say something terrifyingly merciless. I kept my promise with her, and we never talked about the issue again after that. Yep, just leave it at that. But now we have the promise, so that brings us to yet another fragment. Okay, we're opening some doors now. I didn't even know we could do this fragment, to be totally honest. And you know what? I was going to mention that the two of them it feels like they can be pretty close. Like, wholeheartedly, it feels like they could be really close with one another. But then Takano becomes Takano, and yeah, you know, fuck all of that, right? Okay, we have the promise, we have the draft, and the bottle of wine. We can do a roll of one. Of a one. It happened so suddenly. Uncle Koizumi passed away. Okay, finally, we've come across this. That came out really wrong. I never heard he was ill or wasn't feeling well. His chest started to hurt suddenly and he couldn't sleep. He called an ambulance for the first time in his life because he didn't think he could endure the pain. He was taken into emergency care, but he didn't live to see morning. It was an acute myocardial infarction? I don't know what all that is. By all means, please enlighten me, gang. But maybe it was the best possible way to go. instead of being in bed for many years, slowly dilapidating and withering away, he was healthy until his death, and I think he must have lived a wonderful life. But still, it was too sudden. I wish I had called him Uncle more. It's too late though. Uncle Koizumi would never smile at me again with his wrinkly old face, no matter how many times I called for him. He was my guardian until now. He always looked after me, making sure my efforts received proper recognition. Maybe he only did that because he couldn't help my grandfather when he was alive. But still, he was an important person to me. He wasn't just my political backing, but I didn't realize that when he was alive. I only thought of using his power for my own agenda. But after he died, I realized Uncle Koizumi was my grandpa too. He provided the warmth and the protection that I had longed for from my own grandfather. At his funeral, I shed tears that I thought that I forgot how to.
おじいちゃん、今までありがとう。もっとおじいちゃんって呼んであげればよかったね。
No matter how many times I called to him, he would never reply. What I can do for him at this point is complete my research. I must accomplish my goal for his sake. When my grandfather's research is finally acknowledged, Uncle Koizumi's name will be known once again for being the sole supporter of his endeavor. I believe that's the best way to repay him for everything he has done. I vowed to devote myself to my work even more from this day on, but unfortunately, hardships and sadness tend to come together. It was like the tailwind that blew steadily until today suddenly became a headwind. The wind shifted far too suddenly. So strong, so cold, so sad.
どういうことなの、次郎さん。
小泉先生が入江機関設立の立役者だったのは高野さんも知ってるよね。関係機関でなかなか承認の取れなかったのを小泉先生が強力に抑え込んで無理やり通させたって話なんだよ。何しろ医薬品業界で絶大な功績を挙げられた戦後日本復興の重鎮だからね。政財界に絶大な影響力を持たれていたし。
その小泉先生が亡くなって小泉先生が通した無理やりが通らなくなったということ。
あくまでも噂なんで本当のところは僕にもわからないんだけど、一部の予算配当やプロジェクトの見直しが行われるらしいというのを聞いたんだよ。
入江機関が廃止されるということ？
いや、入江機関を見直すというのは聞いたことないけど、ただ小泉先生の死後、長老たちの派閥や勢力、後継者争いがややこしくなっているってもっぱらの噂なんだ。すでにクライアントの人事にかなりの影響を与え始めてるらしいんだ。それで小泉派が主導していたプロジェクトや聖域予算に対し締め付けが行われるんじゃないかって憶測が飛び交ってるらしいんだよ。もちろんそれらは全て僕にとって雲の上の話だからね。伝え聞いた噂話でしかないんだけれど。
Jiro's-san kept saying they were rumors, but that told me the wind's direction has changed. Or maybe Jiro's-san already knows everything and is simply trying to warn me about it. And then, at our next routine audit, Jiro-san made it clear with his own mouth. High-ranking government officials who had never came here before attended the routine audit along with Jiro-san. Just by seeing those faces, I can tell the turning point is approaching.
ご存知の通り、アルファベットプロジェクトは戦後日本の国際的な地位向上を目的としたものです。ですが、すでに昭和も50年代に至り、西暦は21世紀を間近にしております。
In this day and age, we must put the past behind us and start looking forward to a new world. He meant exactly what he said. Japan has already put the past behind, and it's cutting off its ties to the ghosts that wish to resurrect the militaristic might of the pre-war era.
戦後40年間、我が国は世界への平和的貢献を模索し、国際的地位を確立するに至りました。日本は国際社会において重要なポジションを担う国家として成熟し、来世紀にはますますにその存在感を強めることでしょう。
The Alphabet Project, the main sponsor of the Irie Institute, are a group of people who want to develop a weapon that would act as a deterrent to the nuclear weapons which Japan is forbidden to own. So they've come to the Irie Institute, one of its branch organizations, to tell us Japan has now renounced nuclear arms. So the Irie Institute will be facing a strong cold headwind from now on. The roll of the die that came up with 1 on that stormy day has reappeared. I won't let the result of a die affect me. The power of my will won't be beaten by some god's roll of the dice.
よって現在時代に即した形になるようアルファベットプロジェクトの見直しを進めています。新生アルファベットプロジェクトは国際交流と経済発展の二軸からなる平和外交の見地から日本の地位向上を模索していくことになるでしょう。
All of the people who hold tremendous influence in the politics and economy of Japan were born before the war, so naturally they want to regain the glory of pre-war Japan. The very idea that we can win next time if we research the new bomb that defeated us is itself a specter of the war. No, everyone already realized that. It was just that no one could speak out against the grandstanding elders they owed their gratitude towards. Soon the old will wither away and the new generation will take control. Uncle Koizumi was, in a way, the last remaining pillar for the old generation. His death is a chance for the new generation to step in. The things they couldn't argue openly are now being discussed. They have pointed out that from the beginning, the Alphabet Project was created for the personal satisfaction of a small group of people, and it sucked money out of the treasury. And so the new generation of politicians have taken over from the old.
よってアルファベットに関わるすべてのプロジェクトで今後大幅な予算の見直しが図られていくことになります。これはもちろん入江機関も例外ではありません。どうかご了解をいただけますようよろしくお願いいたします。
わかりました。私たちもスポンサーあっての研究です。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
Irie responded appropriately, but he's obviously bewildered. The best equipment and staff are being provided to the Irie Institute. In other words, our research requires a huge amount of money. For those with no interest in Hinamizawa syndrome, they probably won't be able to understand why that much money is being put into the research of disgusting parasites. If they're simply going to revise our budget, that would be fine. We were receiving more than enough money. That would naturally be adjusted. It hurts, but we can endure. That's what I thought. But if just enduring was enough, it wouldn't be a 1 on the die. So even in that sense, this is definitely a roll of a die coming up as 1.
でありまして、この4月に新体制の理事会が発足し、全プロジェクトに対する新方針が示されました。これにつきましては、お配りします資料をご覧ください。
His papers were then passed around. He started to go over the details, but I read through quickly so I could learn more about their stupid decisions first.
入江機関はこれまで先進的な研究において数々の目覚ましい成果を上げられ、未知であったHinamizawa症候群の全貌解明、そして治療薬の開発を成し遂げました。理事会でもこの成果は大変に高く評価しています。これもすべて入江所長以下入江機関全職員のたゆみない努力によるものと思っております。
いえ、恐縮です。
Even while he received their congratulations, a tense atmosphere surrounded me and Irie. It's customary to start the conversation in the opposite way you're planning to take it, before delving into your main point to convey. If the main issue is something good, then start with something bad, or vice versa.
入江機関の研究目的は2つありました。Hinamizawa症候群の研究と治療法の確立、そして多面運用の模索です。新生理事会はこの後者の多面運用の模索については即時の中止を決定しました。これらの研究開発が国内で行われていた事実と痕跡は今後はむしろアキレス腱になりかねません。入江機関は直ちにこれに関わる全ての研究を中止し一切を破棄してください。
わかりました。ご指示に従います。
Irie replied with that immediately. Irie was assertive about finding a cure, but was never even remotely interested in researching the disease's use for military purposes, which is why he was kind of, not really happy with, what was it, H112 or whatever Takano came up with. So I'm sure he has no qualms about concurring with such demands. But I don't agree, because our research will be more limited if we're just trying to find a cure. To me, finding that cure is simply a byproduct of my larger goal of discovering everything about the syndrome.
また、入江期間につきましては、最長3年以内をめどに研究の収束を図ってまいります。
ちょっと待ってください。近年ようやくHinamizawa症候群の全貌が分かり、今まさに治療法の研究を進めているところです。
I don't even know what year we're in right now.
確かに研究は日々進んでおりますが、3年という短い期間で確実に完成させられることをお約束はできません。
理事会では、入江機関はすでに治療薬について十分な研究を完成させているという認識です。すでに入江機関は治療薬 C.8 を完成させ、その臨床データを多数。
There's our C117, by the way.
いえ、完成なんてとんでもない。まだまだ試薬の域を出ず、村人全員を治療できる目処は全く立っていません。このような段階で研究終了ありきでの議論は全くもって無謀としか言いようがありません。
I'm surprised that Irie objected. Thanks to him, I didn't have to say anything. But if Irie hadn't objected, I'm sure I would have shrieked in protest.
それでは、入江機関には現時点では感染者全員を治療し、Hinamizawa症候群を撲滅することは不可能だということですね。
そうです。もちろん村人全員の治療とHinamizawa症候群の撲滅は将来的には不可能なことではありませんし、ただそれには十分な時間が必要で、そのためには無論予算も必要です。私たちは調べ、実践し、確立する仕事をしています。設計図に従ってものを作り、期間があれば必ず決まった成果が出せる仕事とは事情が違います。どうかそこを誤解なさらないようにしていただきたいです。
I guess Irie speaks out when he needs to. And what he's saying is absolutely right. Research isn't something guaranteed to produce results with money and time. But I disagree with some of the things he said. He's objecting about the time and the money, but he's basically agreeing to limit our research only towards finding a cure for Hinamizawa syndrome. That won't do. We won't unravel any mysteries that way. At that rate, the discovery of the Hinamizawa syndrome won't be recognized as my grandfather's great achievement.
なるほど。入江所長のおっしゃることもごもっともと思います。私どもにとっての最大の目的は、軍事目的の研究が行われていたことの完全な破棄です。よって、Hinamizawa症候群という特殊現象が研究されていた痕跡と、そもそも存在していた事実についても隠蔽すべきであると考えます。最終的にHinamizawa症候群が世間に知られることなく撲滅されるならば、そのための期間と予算は必要不可欠なものでしょう。
Oh, Takano's
それ
not
に
going to
つ
be
い
happy
ては
about this.
今後協議を重ねていくということでよろしいでしょうか。
はい、依存ありません。
では入江機関はできるだけ早急にHinamizawa症候群撲滅を秘密裏に行えるプランと予算案を作成提出してください。極力ご指示を汲み取れるよう努力します。
わかりました。早急に提出いたします。
誤解ないようにしていただきたいのは、私どもはあくまでも研究を直ちに中断させようというのではなく、円満な形で研究を終了させようということです。
ええ、もちろん理解しております。
While I was listening to their conversation, I was struck dumbfounded with something they said. Eradicating the syndrome in secrecy. In other words, it would be as though Hinamizawa syndrome never existed. So my grandfather's name will never be revered by anyone. The sound of rustling papers and hushed proceedings filled the meeting room, but I only heard the ticking clock as I clutched my sweating palms. Okay. I'm starting to see the big picture here. Takano's not going to enjoy that at all. Her goal is to be a god, her and her grandfather, for everybody to know that Hinamizawa syndrome was discovered, cured, everything by the Takanos. but that can't be possible if they keep it on the down low. I feel like that's when Takano's going to take matters into her own hands. She is going to move towards just totally wiping out the whole village. She's going to make her own noise. Am I on the right page there? Like, am I going in the right direction? I wonder. And speaking of pages, we've completed page 4 and 5. So now we can complete page 3 and move on, I believe. We have the death of Koizumi-sensei, and we have the completion of Medicine C-117. After these two, I'm fairly certain we can do June 1983, and then an invitation to the end. Then we get to go through all the chapters, or at least the fragment of chapters, and we'll do the last one. Oh, it's gonna be good, guys. We're almost done with the fragments. We're almost there. I know it's been a long journey through these fragments, but we're almost done. We're almost done. It didn't even feel like it took all that long. Like, I know there's a lot of episodes that are just of these fragments, but I feel like we did pretty good on time. I don't think we're beating any records, but I feel like we did pretty good. Thank you all for watching this episode. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goddamn, am I tired.